People who wax others for a living. What's the worst horror story you have of a client? My male teacher told me this one. A very large lady would ask for a Brazilian wax, which includes the ass crack. She already had strong body odor, and when my teacher waxed the ass crack, the wax strip was caked in acid. She just about threw up on the client. Not me, but this happened to a friend of mine. She and her girlfriend decided to get Brazilian waxes together. It was her first Brazilian wax, so she had no frame of reference for how much it was supposed to hurt. First strip, okay, few more, fine, then one more pull and mega pain. The wax looked terrified, but then just smiled, and just quickly made gestures for her to get dressed and come out front to pay. This happened in South Korea. When she got home, she inspected the area, and the waxer had actually ripped her labia. She had to immediately go to hospital to get stitches to have it repaired. All my friend did was go back to the salon with a hospital bill and demand that they pay it and call the matter settled, which they did. I was a hairstylist and we really only ever did facial waxing and offered to clients as an upsell. A regular client of mine was traumatized by a prior waxing experience with a stylist that was not myself years prior and declined. Well, the stylist went to wax her brows and dropped a giant clump of wax on her lashes. Then proceeded to take a long time to remove the wax, I think like an hour, with only water and no oil residue remover that would have made the wax side off instantly. I asked this very question to someone who was waxing me. Their worst is normally hygiene related, like a woman had clearly had sex at some point just before the appointment and hadn't cleaned out properly. There are too many, truly, it can be awful. Most stories have to do with bad hygiene, some with clients' attitudes or actions, and some will just be plain old problems getting the hair off. I haven't had a really bad one in a while, or maybe I just am not fazed by it anymore. A favorite of mine was the girl who came in for a Brazilian and was shaking from nervousness before we even started. I'll spare you the details, but it took over an hour to finish. The service usually takes 15-30 minutes. 45 is the most it should ever take, and at some point she had a full-on anxiety attack. I was being as gentle as I could considering I was ripping hair out of her body, and after every pull she sat up, cried loudly, and then dropped back onto the bed. She got off the bed still half naked and started pacing back and forth loudly sobbing and hyperventilating. I was trying my best to keep her calm, but honestly, it was all in her head. Getting your hair ripped out always hurts, but her hair should have been an easy service. She let herself panic, and the fear got to her. After she left, I sat in the break room, took a deep breath in, and starting sobbing lol. I was so glad to be done with it. She was sweet otherwise, no smell, easy hair to work with, but god, that was the most stressful service of my life. She actually came back a few more times after that, and we finished in 20 minutes, no more incidents. Edit. As much as she struggled to get through it, I want everyone to know that no one was telling her she had to. I asked if she wanted to stop, and she said she was pushing herself to do new things despite her high anxiety. No significant other pulling the strings, and I certainly didn't force her to go through with it. Some women do it for other people. Many, I would even say most women, do it for themselves. Smells. Finding crusty things and not wiping very well. Client story: went to a waxing studio I had never been to before and got a Brazilian done. The lady did this with bee wax, I think, which you just put on the skin. It dries quickly and you pull it off without a cloth paper. You have to apply it at a certain thickness for it to work. The lady begins, and at first, everything is going well. She works her way to the more private areas, but I can tell she works pretty hard. I have strong hair, and this was after 2-3 months of growing. When she gets to the labia, the problems begin. She can't seem to rip the hair off. Her solution is to apply more wax on top, but still no budging. More wax is applied, and she starts slightly spreading it out too. So I'm now covered in warm thick wax almost everywhere, which feels a little like wearing a small harness. I get a little scared and just hope that she knows what she's doing. She, however, chooses this moment to inform me that it's possible to rip off skin as well, and to kind of scold me for having thick hair. Incredible people skills, so comforting. Luckily, she somehow managed to get it off. Never going back there though. Story: my aunt told me 2 or 3 layers of skin came off with the hair. It was on a guy's genitals and there was a lot of blood and yelling. Welp, after reading this thread you can now call me an anti-waxer. My sister was an esthetician and refused to do LA's lips and shoals because of issues with people's hygiene and how gross it could be. Her co-workers gladly did them, though better tippers in general when you're waxing their shoal, and don't hurt them too bad lol. Sometimes people come in and they're super sweaty and it's hard for the wax to stick to sweaty skin, so usually they just pat some baby powder on them and problem solved. One day a younger woman came in. She was super sweaty, so the esthetician decides to haul out the baby powder, dab some on, and turn to get the pot of wax to do the job. I should mention the woman getting the wax was on all fours on the table, as they usually are. So, esthetician turns to get the wax, woman on the table lets out a fart. Just a little slip, but still. Baby powder went everywhere, all over the table, all over the esthetician, and was hanging in the air. I asked if the girl was embarrassed, and my sister said that apparently she just played it off, like she didn't drop a bomb, but the baby powder evidence told the truth. Plus, it reeked. But the esthetician was a total pro and didn't even faze her. That would have been the end of my waxing career lol. A new client came in right after having sex and leaked all over the bed, and she wanted me to finish the job, so cleaned herself right in front of me, completely nonchalantly. I cold looked her in the eyes. And another one, but service wasn't rendered. I was 18, working at my first salon, alone. It was this huge place in a really good area, but knew so business was slow. This guy steps in, wearing a super nice suit, and asks for a back wax. I have him step into the wax room, ask him to remove his coat and shirt, and lay down facing down. I go to grab some towels as extra precaution, to lay over his BTT, so his pants aren't ruined. Come back to see him naked, and has asking for a Brazilian wax. Caught off guard, I just kind of stand there before realizing what a situation I'm in. I have no experience in that, and it's not a service we provide for men. I try to explain that to him and ask him to dress, and he tells me it's not a hard thing to learn, to practice on him. At this point I'm freaking out. I still have an advantage point of running out the front door as has BTT naked, and we had 2 security guards for the plaza, but the situation kind of locks my legs together. I don't even remember how, but he eventually listens and dresses and leaves. It kind of taught me about the risk of working alone in a building where I'd need to take clients into a room in the back. I made friends with the security guard that day and got his number in case I ever did need him to step in.